When I found out my boyfriend was cheating on me, I didn't just end our 7-year relationship, I ended his career. My name is Celine. I work at a fast-growing tech firm in Chicago as a product strategy lead. I met my boyfriend Jason at the same company. Until the day I discovered his affair, I thought we had a balanced and good relationship. At least that's what I told myself every morning while sipping my overpriced oat milk latte before walking into the office we once shared. 7 years. That's how long I invested in a man who, with just one careless mistake, made me realize I had been building my life around a lie. Jason wasn't just my boyfriend. He was also the company's head of human resources, charming, confident, and always 2 steps ahead in any conversation. People loved him. Executives trusted him. Interns idolized him. I used to be proud of the way he could walk into a room and own it. Now I know better. The day Blair walked through those sliding glass doors was the day everything started to shift. Blonde, bright-eyed, with a laugh that lingered too long in crowded rooms, she was the new recruiting assistant, barely 2 weeks into the job before I noticed something strange. Jason started staying late more often. Back-to-back interviews, he said. We're scaling fast. You know how it is. I did know. I knew enough to smell bullshit. I didn't say anything at first. You don't just jump to conclusions in a 7-year relationship. You wait. You observe. You watch how his phone suddenly lives face down on the coffee table. How his cologne smells different on Thursdays. How he becomes allergic to eye contact when you ask, "Are you okay?" I remember the night it finally clicked. We were watching TV, something mindless and loud. He laughed at something I didn't catch, then reached for his phone and smiled. Not at me. Not with me. Just this little private smirk. That smile wasn't mine anymore. So I started digging. Not obsessively, not yet. Just tentatively. And when I saw her name flash on his screen at 11:46 p.m., Blair, I knew. I knew before I opened his laptop and saw the message history. Before I read things like, "You looked amazing today. You always do. Next time we sneak out for lunch, let's not come back." I didn't cry. Not then. I just shut the laptop, sat on the edge of the bed and stared at my reflection in the closet mirror. I looked calm, like a woman about to sign a contract she'd already read 3 times. Because I wasn't going to just walk away. No. Jason built his career on pretending to care about boundaries and workplace ethics, and I was about to show everyone how much of a lie that was. I didn't sleep that night. Jason lay next to me, his breathing steady, his arm occasionally twitching in a dream. I just stared at the ceiling, listening to the hum of the city outside our bedroom window. 7 years. 7 birthdays. 7 anniversaries. Countless holidays, family dinners, shared routines, private jokes, Spotify playlists, even a shared cat. All of it erased with one smug little emoji. I didn't cry. Instead, I started remembering. All the times I ignored my gut. The lunch breaks he suddenly couldn't take with me. The out-of-town retreat, where he forgot his charger but still managed to send her memes. The way Blair giggled a little too loudly when they were together. The way he stood just a bit too close. The way he never introduced her to me, though we literally worked 1 floor apart. Was it really just her? Or had there been others? That question kept gnawing at me until the sun came up. The next morning I did what I always did. I got up, brewed coffee, fed our cat Daisy, and slipped into my usual work clothes. Dark jeans, blazer, sleek boots. I even kissed him on the cheek before leaving, like I hadn't just read proof that he was slowly replacing me. But inside I had already packed my bags. At work, everything felt surreal. People smiled, nodded, carried their coffees, their laptops, their little corporate dreams. Jason passed me in the hallway, winked and whispered, "Can't wait for date night tonight." Date night. I smiled back. It was our 7-year anniversary that evening. He had made reservations at a steakhouse we both loved. He even sent me flowers to the office, white lilies and eucalyptus, my favorites. My assistant Melissa smiled when she brought them to my desk. "Girl, he's a keeper," she said. "Yeah, a keeper of secrets." At dinner I played the part. Laughed at his jokes, held his hand, toasted to 7 years of magic. He looked at me like I was his world. And that's what made me sick. He could look me dead in the eye, talk about building a future together, and mean none of it. I let him pay the bill. I let him take me home. I let him kiss me goodnight. And then, while he was in the shower, I started copying everything. Messages. Photos. Files. I knew his password, he hadn't changed it in years. He never thought he'd need to. I created a folder on my personal drive labeled Insurance. It wouldn't be the last folder I made. Over the next few weeks I played it slow. Like a chess game. I watched Jason as if he were a character in a show I'd already seen the ending of. I started noticing patterns, the little meetings he scheduled when Blair was also working late. The way her name kept popping up in HR documentation. The way he gave her access to projects far above her pay grade. I wasn't just mad anymore. I was curious. Jason was the company's moral compass, or so everyone believed. But now I wondered, how deep did this go? I scheduled lunch with an old coworker, Tanya. She had quit suddenly 6 months ago despite being next in line for a promotion. Jason, she said when I carefully brought up the topic. That guy made my life hell. Always flirting, crossing boundaries, then acting like I was the problem. My stomach dropped. How come you never reported it? She laughed bitterly. To who? He's HR. Reporting Jason to Jason is like asking the arsonist to investigate a fire. That night I added a new folder, Witnesses. I recorded our entire conversation. The more I dug, the uglier it got. I found at least 3 women who had similar stories. All had left the company. All were too afraid to speak up. Some had messages. One had screenshots. Jason had a pattern, targeting women just starting out, making them feel special, then sidelining or gaslighting them when things got complicated. And Blair? She was just the latest. But unlike the others, Blair was basking in it. Promotions. Visibility. A speaking opportunity at a Women in Tech conference. Seriously? The irony made me nauseous. By the end of the month I had enough material for a Netflix docuseries. But I wasn't done yet. I didn't just want him fired. I wanted him unmasked. So I started planning the takedown. Carefully, wiggly, thoroughly. I researched whistleblower protections. I created burner accounts. I encrypted files. I consulted with an employment attorney anonymously under the name Claire V. I wasn't reckless, I was surgical. And every day I went into that office, smiled at Jason and pretended I didn't know. That's the thing about betrayal, it teaches you how to lie right back. On the surface I was still the same Celine. Smart. Professional. Always 2 steps ahead. But behind the scenes I was building something massive. Case. A movement. A reckoning. Jason didn't just cheat on me. He violated people's trust. He exploited power. He manipulated careers. And worst of all, he underestimated me. You'd be surprised how quickly people reveal themselves when they think no one's watching. After I decided I wasn't going to play the fool anymore, I started paying attention with surgical precision. Every casual touch Jason gave Blair during meetings. Every excuse he made to walk by her desk. Every time her name popped up in company-wide email threads she had no reason to be included in. And Blair? She acted like the queen of the floor. Her laugh got louder. Her skirts shorter. She started making side comments in the break room like, "Some of us get ahead faster because we deserve it." Always glancing at me like I was the dinosaur who should have retired already. Cute. But while she played checkers, I played chess. One morning I accidentally left a flash drive in the office printer. Jason returned it to me during lunch. "I found your USB," he said, grinning. "Hope there's nothing confidential on it." I smiled. "Just wedding playlists and cat videos." He chuckled, slid it across the table and went back to his sandwich. There was nothing on that drive, of course. It was bait. I had already switched out the real one, the one with screen recordings, email backups and confidential policy violations, and tucked it inside the lining of my laptop sleeve. By then I had so much dirt on Jason that even he couldn't HR his way out of it. Still, I wasn't ready to strike. Not yet. No, first I needed him to hang himself, and for that I needed Blair to talk. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I befriended her. It started with coffee. "Hey Blair," I said one afternoon, catching her by the elevator. "Mind if I pick your brain sometime this week? I heard you gave a killer onboarding presentation and I'm updating our internal playbook." She blinked. Confused, maybe flattered. "Oh sure. Yeah, totally." We had lattes at the trendy cafe across the street. I wore neutral tones, asked the right questions and pretended I gave a damn about her Canva templates. By our 3rd meetup she started letting things slip. "Jason said I could skip the training, perks of being close with HR, right? I've only been here 3 months and I'm already managing onboarding for new hires." Some girls work for years to get this role. Sometimes Jason texts me these memes at like 1 a.m. He's hilarious. I recorded everything. She had no idea. One night, Jason left his work laptop open. Normally he was careful, paranoid even. But that night maybe he drank too much wine. Or maybe he finally thought he had me wrapped around his finger again. I waited until he passed out on the couch. Then I sat down and typed. His Slack was open. So was his Google Drive. And what I found? Let's just say Blair wasn't the only woman he had mentored. There were private folders, notes, flirtatious chats with women dating back 3 years. Some of them had emailed complaints. I recognized the tone. I feel uncomfortable. This doesn't feel right. One even said, I'm afraid I'll lose my job if I say anything. Those complaints never made it into the official HR system. Because Jason was the system. That night I didn't sleep again. But this time it wasn't from pain. It was focus. Cold, calculated rage. I wasn't dealing with a cheating boyfriend anymore. I was dealing with a predator in a position of power. And I was going to burn his whole illusion down. The next day, I filed my first anonymous complaint using the company's third-party ethics portal. I included dates, quotes, and even employee initials. I wanted to see what they'd do when they didn't know it was me. Nothing happened for a week. Then an internal memo. The ethics team is looking into anonymous reports regarding potential misconduct within the HR department. Bingo. Jason read the memo aloud during a meeting and said, looks like someone's bored. Everyone laughed. Blair included. But not for long. Around this time I planted the final seed. I invited Jason to join me at a mutual friend's engagement party. He agreed, of course. He still thought we were fine. Still thought I was the devoted girlfriend who never questioned him. But before we left, I sent an email. To myself. With an attached audio file, a voice note Blair had left me where she drunkenly joked. I told Jason he better not screw me over. It's your daddy better keep his promises. The subject line read, in case he screws me over too. I blind copied our company's legal counsel. Just insurance. That weekend, while Jason schmoozed over champagne and pretended to be the life of the party, I was already writing his obituary, professionally speaking. He didn't know it yet, but his empire was crumbling. And when it fell, I wouldn't just be watching. I'd be the one pushing the last brick. There's a special kind of power that comes with knowing more than you let on. By now, I was fluent in Jason's behavior. I knew his patterns, his weaknesses, even the specific time of day he was most careless, right after lunch when his energy dipped and his guard slipped. He was predictable. And that made him easy to dismantle. I wasn't just gathering evidence anymore. I was building a case. I opened a new spreadsheet, one Jason would never see, and titled it, JH Exposure Plan. The file had tabs. Victims. Policy violations. Documented messages. Leverage points. Timeline for submission. This was no longer about heartbreak. This was an operation. I started with HR records. Now, technically, I didn't have clearance to access Jason's full personnel logs. But when you've worked in the same company for nearly a decade, you learn where the cracks in the system are. I reached out to Liam, an IT engineer who owed me a favor after I helped save his product launch from a PR disaster last year. Hey, do you have visibility into Slack admin history? I asked over drinks. He shrugged. Somewhat. Depends on the filters. Could you check if Jason's ever manually deleted any messages or channels? He laughed. Are you worried he's planning a coup or something? I smiled. Something like that. By the end of the week, Liam sent me an encrypted file with timestamps of deleted messages, private conversations Jason tried to scrub, some of them with Blair, others with names I didn't even recognize. Some of them had attachments. A few had red flags so obvious I felt sick reading them. I uploaded it all into my growing database. Then I color-coded every line. Red equals legal risk. Orange equals ethical misconduct. Yellow equals HR policy breach. Green equals leverage. There was a lot of red. Next, I circled back to the women I'd spoken to, former employees, silent victims, whispers in the walls. I asked if they'd be willing to speak anonymously to a third-party investigator. 2 said yes immediately. 1 asked for time. 1 flat out said no. I've moved on, she told me. I just don't want to relive it. I respected that. But I also knew that silence is what men like Jason count on. So I offered her an option. If you're not comfortable talking, would you let me submit your emails anonymously through the ethics portal? After a long pause, she replied, yes. Just don't let him do this to anyone else. That was all I needed. Meanwhile, I studied Jason at work like a scientist observes a test subject. Every meeting, every gesture, every time he said, I'll handle it, I logged it. He still thought he was untouchable. He still flirted openly with Blair. He still dropped lines like, I've got friends in legal, and I know how to bury a complaint. Perfect. Keep talking. Around this time, Blair began to spiral. Maybe she felt the shift in the air, the glances people gave her, the way managers suddenly stopped inviting her to meetings, how her name stopped appearing in calendar invites. One day in the break room, she snapped. If one more person gives me that passive-aggressive smile, I swear to God, she said to no one in particular. I raised an eyebrow. Everything okay? She looked at me like I was a ghost she hadn't expected to see. Fine, she muttered and stormed out. A week later it happened. The company announced a routine audit of the HR department, in partnership with external legal counsel. Everyone was told to expect interviews. Anonymous submissions had exceeded normal levels, and the board was taking it seriously. Jason made a joke in the Monday morning all hands. Guess someone's trying to make HR their hobby. No one laughed. Not this time. I was called into a confidential meeting that Thursday. 2 investigators, 1 woman, 1 man, neutral expressions. They explained the scope. Assured confidentiality. Asked if I was aware of any unethical activity within my department or others. I leaned forward. I have evidence, I said calmly. I'm not just aware. I've been documenting it. Their pens froze mid-sentence. I slid over a folder, both digital and printed. Inside. Transcripts. Slack logs. Confidential interviews. Timeline of incidents. Whistleblower submissions. Screenshots. Audio. The room went silent. The man cleared his throat. Would you be willing to discuss this under oath, if necessary? I nodded. If it means protecting the people he's hurt? Absolutely. That night, Jason came home with takeout and a bottle of red wine. Rough day, he sighed. People are acting weird. Some audit nonsense. Might blow over, but honestly it's pissing me off. He poured a glass, flopped on the couch and looked at me. You okay? I smiled. I'm good. Cool, he said, sipping. Weird vibe in the office today though. I feel like someone's watching me. Hey, someone was. They say revenge is best served cold. I served mine with receipts, timestamps, and a 30-page PDF attached to a legal email. Once the audit began, Jason's confidence started to crack. He was snappier in meetings. More defensive. Less charming. Blair noticed too. You think they're on to us? She whispered to him one day, not realizing I was sitting behind the glass partition. Jason gave her a glare. There is no us, Blair. Stick to your job. So much for office romance. She stormed out of that room red-faced. I recorded the whole thing on my phone's voice memo app. By now the investigation team had everything they needed, but I had one last move. Jason had once bragged about how smart he was at dodging corporate traps. How he never put anything in writing that couldn't be deleted. So I gave him something verbal, something damning, straight from his own mouth. I asked him to meet me for lunch, just the 2 of us. We sat outside. I kept my phone in my jacket pocket, mic on, camera angled toward my bag. I just don't get why people are so uptight about work relationships, I said casually. I mean, if it's consensual. Jason snorted. Oh please. You know how many of these women flirt first? Blair practically offered herself on day 1. You think she got promoted on talent? He laughed. I didn't. I've built my department from scratch. If I want to reward people who play ball, that's my business. Gotcha. The fallout happened fast. Monday morning, Jason didn't show up to work. By noon, every employee got the same email. Effective immediately, Jason Harris has been terminated due to multiple breaches of ethical and professional conduct. A full review is underway. Support resources are available to anyone impacted. People were stunned. The golden boy. The trusted face of HR gone. The company issued a vague press statement, internal restructuring, but word spread quickly. Especially after someone leaked an anonymous blog post with screenshots and audio clips. I didn't publish it myself. But I didn't stop it either. Blair resigned 2 days later. She left quietly, avoiding eye contact with everyone, her desk cleared before lunch. I heard she tried to get a job at another firm. But word travels. No one wants a scandal magnet in their onboarding team. My co-workers treated me differently after that. With caution then respect. Some of the women I barely knew emailed me privately. "Thank you for what you did. You made it safer here." I almost quit. But now I think I'll stay. I never replied. I didn't need to. People ask me if I regret it. I don't. Jason chose to cross lines not just in our relationship but at work where people trusted him to protect them. He abused power. He covered his tracks. He thought no one would ever call him out. He thought I was too in love to fight back. He forgot who he was dating. I didn't start a podcast. I didn't write a book. I didn't go on a speaking tour. I did something better. I started my own consulting firm, one that audits company cultures, builds ethical reporting systems, and helps businesses actually protect their employees. You'd be shocked how many firms call me now. They ask for workshops. They ask for policies. They ask for training sessions on HR integrity. Sometimes they ask me to speak to their own HR leads. And sometimes I see that flicker of panic in their eyes when they realize I know exactly what to look for. Because I've already dismantled the worst. And I'm just getting started. He broke my heart. I broke his career. Fair trade.